This podcast contains graphic content. Listener caution is recommended. Specifically, today's episode of Choosing the Bear contains themes and discussion of gun violence, school shootings, crimes against children, child murder, and suicide.
Hello, welcome to Choosing the Bear, a true crime podcast where we present, explore, and discuss a range of different crimes. My name is Daniel, and with me is my co-host slash sister, Lois. Today's episode is on the Dunblane massacre. Hello, Lois.
Hi, Daniel. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, or as people in the biz now call it, Fry-yay.
Friday!
I've been saying that a lot recently in the past couple of weeks. Now I'm doing the old 9 to 5. I'm a big Fry-yay boy.
There we are. We just had to restart because I weren't using my mic.
Yeah.
Even though I was testing my mic.
Episode 6, and she's still learning.
No, it's 7.
What?
This is 7. Yeah.
I got it wrong this time. Episode 7. What?
I know.
So close to 10.
I was just going through. This is going to be a bit of a... I mean, it might not be that long. But I was just going through my old laptop that I had since I was probably like 13. And I went through the videos of when I went to see Ariana in 2017. And then when I went to see her again in 2019. And then, oh my God, I felt so like not weirdly, but like I felt so emotional, nostalgic because I found videos of when I went to go and see Yumi at 6 and All Time Low. Oh my God, I don't even know how old I was. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm going to see them again. And I'm like, that's so sad because they're like splitting up.
Yeah.
So sad. And I was just like, oh.
Just gave absolutely nothing to the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why were you doing that then? Were you just feeling nostalgic?
Well, I originally went on there to send myself some of the Ariana clips because I don't have any of the 2017 ones on my phone or the 2019 ones. And then I was just going through old photos and I found them and I was like, OMG.
Yeah, you've come full circle.
OMG.
Well, that's like me with Linkin Park, you know? But it's like the opposite, how like Yumi at 6 are ending, whereas Linkin Park are just rejuvenated.
It's a new beginning. How did that primary school thing go?
I got a clue. I don't know what you're on about.
There was a primary school song.
Right.
And it said new beginnings.
Thrilling, really, real good content so far.
I like Good Things Go by Linkin Park. That's in my on repeat.
It's a banger. The new album, I think, minus all the heavy shit and where they're screaming, I really enjoy it. I got a right quiff right now. Whoa.
I haven't
to audio listeners.
Listened to their new album much.
You have. You listened to it when we were in the car.
Yeah, but I haven't I feel like I normally have to sit down and listen.
I put it on during my breaks at work. 15-minute breaks, and that's like half of the album done. It's fun. It's a fun time.
The album's only, I suppose, half hour actually.
It's about half hour, 40 minutes.
But we said we would update our listeners because the last time we recorded, maybe it was like 2 weeks ago when I said that I was starting a rewatch of Daredevil for Daredevil Born Again. And oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed.
We always talk about Daredevil. That's all we do.
No,
I love it.
This is something a bit different because I'm somewhat feeling overwhelmed, snowed under. Oh God, it's actually made me a bit stressed because, I've got one a day of Daredevil, which I need to watch, and it's 6:45 p.m. I need to watch yesterday's EastEnders. No, actually, I finished that today at work. So I've got EastEnders a day, but I started falling behind on that. I've started The Real Housewives of Cheshire, so I'm binging that. And then the reunion of Salt Lake City came out, so I have to watch that. Oh God, I just ain't got the time in the world to watch all my favourite things.
Have a day, so this weekend, dedicate a day to binge some of it, you know? And I don't mean Daredevil, whatever you can binge it. So then you're not going to be that stressed.
No, once I finish Salt Lake City, I've only got an episode and a half left. EastEnders, I only watched that on my break at work.
You know, you got to get
and then
ready
Real Housewives of Cheshire, I can. Oh my God! And also, you know, the Christmas special, the thing that happened with Cindy, is still not come out, and me and the streets are all in agreement that we don't give a fuck.
I don't remember it, Lois, if I'm honest with you. I thought Christmas this year was quite shit.
She got no, weren't Gavin and Stacey and Wallace and Gromit. The Wax See You.
And what about EastEnders?
Oh yeah, it was a bit naff. New Year's was way better.
I wasn't watching it. I had better things to do.
You didn't watch New Year one?
No.
Oh my
I was probably at work. Oh, yeah, I was
God.
working. So I didn't have better things to do, actually.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else you would like to discuss?
Not really, no. I thought before coming on, like, oh, have I got anything to discuss? Not a lot, really. I've just been working hard. You know, work's really occupying a lot of my time right now.
Grafter.
A lot of I'm grafting hard. A lot of training. I feel a bit more energetic today, though, than I did last week, because I know last week I was quite flat. But not today. I'm feeling all right today. But nothing to
Flat Stanley.
Flat Stanley.
I'll call you Flat Daniel.
Flat Daniel last week, whenever it fucking were.
We remember at the end of like last episode, I don't know if I was recorded or not, but we said that, well, me, said we were going to start the episode by going, hiya.
Hiya. Yeah. Well, didn't do it, did we? Anyway, that's enough shitty waffle.
That's enough jibber jabber.
Yeah, let's get into this.
So I've done this case. I literally finished this 2 days ago. And I've wrote it in a way. We'll start where the shooting begins, and then we'll describe the piece of shit.
Cool.
Okay. And also, I've moved on to Google Docs. I don't write on my notes no more.
Well done.
At around 8:15 a.m. on the 13th of March 1996, Thomas Hamilton was scraping ice off of his van. Once finished, he left his house on Kent Road, Stirling, in Scotland. Stirling is around a 45 to 50 minute drive from Glasgow. He would drive for around 5 miles, arriving at Dunblane Primary School at around 9:30 a.m. Thomas parked his van close to a telephone pole in the car park of the school, and once he parked, Thomas got out of the car and then cut the cables at the bottom of the telephone pole. These allowed the nearby houses to make calls. Thomas then headed towards the northwest side of the school, a door close to the toilets and school gym. Thomas was carrying 4 legally owned guns, 2 9mm Browning HP pistols. This is a semi-automatic pistol, meaning it automatically ejects and reloads bullets. As well as this, he was carrying Smith & Wesson M19.357 Magnum revolvers. .357 Magnum is a smokeless powder cartridge, meaning it produces less smoke than other guns. By the way, I know absolutely nothing about guns. I'm lucky to have never seen one in real life or to have even heard a gunshot. So I am describing these guns, but this is what Googie Woogie told me they are, because I don't know anything about guns.
Yeah,
and in a way, I think I'm kind of privileged.
Well, absolutely. Anyone who's not really been around guns is privileged.
Yeah, but I mean kind of like they're not normalised. Not saying... Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're from an area where... well, I say an area, like a country where guns aren't the thing you can buy in a shop. Because that was mad when we were in America that one time. And I swear, it was like a Walmart or something. I was saying this to someone the other day, actually. Where like, it's just like, it was like another aisle. Like, you know, you got your frozen, your meats, your toiletware, your guns. Like it's wild that was such a, well, is an acceptable sort of just idea.
I know. I remember when we went in 2016, I walked to Walgreens and I remember thinking, someone could just pull out a gun and shoot me. Like,
it's a morbid thought, but yeah.
I can literally remember it. I remember being in the parking lot and like the sun was starting to set and I thought, someone could just whip out a gun and shoot this place up.
Yeah, like statistically, it's a lot more likely to happen there than where we're from, which is mad. Horrible thought.
Finally, Thomas was carrying 743 ammunition cartridges or rounds. The school gym that Thomas was heading towards had a class of 28 students and 3 members of staff that were about to take a PE lesson. Before we dive further into the attack, we'll go over the life of Thomas Hamilton, the school shooter of Dunblane Primary School. On the 10th of May 1952, Thomas Watt Sr. and Agnes Graham Hamilton welcomed their baby into the world. They called him Thomas Watt Jr., although only 18 months later, Thomas Sr. would ditch the family for another woman. This would lead to Agnes divorcing Thomas Sr. He then had no contact with his son moving forward. So we got a deadbeat dad.
A deadbeat dad. A lot of those around.
Agnes gave her son, who I'll now just refer to as Thomas, to her adoptive parents. They would later adopt Thomas, changing his name to Thomas Watt Hamilton. Agnes became almost like an older sister to Thomas. After the shooting, she said, quote, "He seemed to get on with everyone I know of." In a separate quote, she said, quote, "I know he had pictures of boys when they were camping and things like that, but I never thought he would be capable of anything like this." She's referring to when police received complaints that Thomas had taken photographs of partly naked boys without parental consent.
Oh, jeez. How old was he at this point?
Sorry if you heard that. How old was who? Thomas?
Yeah.
I do get into it a bit later, but he was like over 18.
Right, I was trying to like gauge from like, are they young and it's already like manifesting in their head that they've got these evil tendencies,
Oh, it weren't like he was a scout, like he was a young boy.
Mm.
He was like a scout leader.
Right. Oh.
Taking pictures of scouts.
Right, I'm with you now. Yeah, I see.
But I'll explain that in more details later. Because I was saying that and I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's how she said, I know he had pictures of boys when they went out camping, but I never thought he would do. It's kind of saying, oh, I know we had like indecent images of children, but I never thought he would do. It's like, why are you so.
I know he had drugs in the house, but I don't think he would take them.
Why are you so, like, I don't know, just
Placid
saying that. It's just really fucking weird, yeah. At some point in his childhood, Thomas and his grandparents, now adoptive parents, James and Catherine, moved to Stirling. Thomas was under the impression, after being told his whole life, that James and Catherine were his parents and Agnes was his older sister. But when Thomas was around 22, James and Catherine told him the truth. It's reported that it had a deep effect on his mental health, which is understandable, as the life you thought you had turned out to be a lie.
That's like a plot from a film or like a TV show. That's insane, though.
Yeah.
Like your whole life's a lie, essentially, up to that point. You think your mum and dad, like they're meant to be your rocks and everything. Turns out your mum's your sister. Because then you look at what you thought was your sister in such a weird light now. Because obviously the relationship between brothers and sisters and, mother and kid are very different. You establish different boundaries with each other. So then looking at the woman that you thought was your sister, now they're your mum, God knows what that would feel like.
Yeah. I think, like, I mean, I do agree with telling him, but, like, oh my God, like, how the fuck would you go about saying that?
Not a clue. I mean, yeah, like, he should have been told. Absolutely, but...
Or, I mean, I don't want to judge. I don't want to say, you should have done this. But I think, and also I'm not a parent or a mum, so, I mean, what do I know? But I think maybe say from a young age, like, oh no, we're your nan and granddad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's many different ways you could have gone about it. But I mean, like I say, we are not parents. None of us have kids. So we aren't actually saying anything about it. But I don't know. I think regardless, whenever you have a conversation like that, revealing that you're not actually someone's mum and dad and that their sister is in fact their mum, that's not really going to go well. I think there's very slim chances of that being like, oh, okay.
Cool.
I thought something was weird, like that's always going to have some sort of massive effect.
After the massacre was committed, neighbours came out and said that Thomas would repeatedly humiliate James, which was his granddad, but he thought up to a point was his dad. Mm-hmm. Thomas would urinate into his drinks and pushed him around. This is claimed by neighbours, so it isn't a straight claim from James or anyone else in the home. So I don't know if it's completely true and reliable.
Right. Okay.
James would say that Thomas, quote, wanted everything his own way and I got fed up and left him to it. James walked out in 1992 and the two didn't speak for 4 years. In July 1973, when Thomas was aged 21, he became a scout leader. In a court document I found, Thomas, quote, seemed very keen and willing and did not present any problems. But his position in the Scouts wouldn't last long. Complaints would be made against him. One of them was regarding a time when the boys he was in charge of were forced to sleep overnight in a van during a cold winter night. And I think they were forced to sleep partially naked. I think, don't quote me on that. I think I do remember seeing that. But regardless, they were forced to sleep in a van in freezing conditions.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to be freezing inside the van outside.
Like, I know, like, obviously Scotland and England are next to each other, but England gets cold, but Scotland gets even
Well,
colder.
Scotland's, yeah, further up north, and the further up you go, the colder you
Yeah.
get. So yeah, that's going to be Baltic.
Thomas excused his actions by saying the accommodation they intended to stay at was double booked. When his claims were investigated, it was found that no accommodation at all had been booked. It was determined that Thomas should be asked to resign, and he was informed of his lack of good leadership skills. His warrant was subsequently withdrawn. In one report, I seen that police had also received complaints against Thomas saying that he had taken photos without parental consent of boys. I couldn't find this in any other sources or court documents, but Agnes did say, quote, I know he had pictures of boys when they went out camping and things like that, but I never thought he was capable of anything like this. Thomas hung pictures of, quote, bare-chested boys on the walls of his house, and it could be seen by anyone looking in his window. A woman neighbour was shown his collection of videos of boys running around his Loch Lomond camp as if it was the most natural thing in the world for a youth leader to film. If people were to question the paedophile about why he had pictures and videos of children, he would strike back saying he had a mission to ingrain, quote, good old-fashioned discipline. He believed that children had to be stopped from becoming, quote, thugs, scum and vandals, like Robert Thompson and John Venables, the boys who murdered 2-year-old James Bulger. So we're going a bit extreme here. The two just don't match.
Yeah.
He's trying to excuse it, and there is no excuse or valid reason why anyone should have that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, that the two don't match. But what's worse is then people would have heard that and just gone on.
In 1992, Fife Council, which neighbours with Dunblane, banned Thomas from its schools after he was caught with films of young boys. Thomas would claim that the rumours about his behaviour as a scout leader resulted in his business failing in 1993. At this time, he also tried to start his own boys' club, but was met with severe scrutiny from the police as well as the scout movement. He then complained to Queen Elizabeth and his local MP, Michael Forsyth.
And how did that go down? Probably not very well.
No. But, like, he ended up not... He complained to the Queen.
The fucking Queen.
The Queen... I don't really think she's too bothered about your scout club.
That's also showing the sort of, like, the mental... capacity we're at right now, where he's gone, this has actually fucked me off. I'm gonna write to the Queen. The Queen needs to know about this. Like already that's a flag of being like, that's not a normal thing to do. No one really goes, I need to tell the Queen about this. You know,
as if the Queen, like, do you really think the Queen is gonna read your letter?
Well, exactly. It just isn't gonna happen.
I'm unsure for what scout group it was, but regardless, there was an incident when Thomas took a 9-year-old boy who attended Dunblane and sat him down on a bench. Thomas began questioning him, quote, he asked me the way to the gym and the way to the hall. He asked what time certain classes went to the gym and the main way into the school. He asked directions about once he was in the main hall, how to get to the gym and where the stage was. This questioning happened on the 7th of March, 6 days before the shooting.
Oh, God. So he had a whole week to sort of, like, finalise his plan then.
Yeah. So if you think, like, 6 days before he committed the shooting, he was asking, like, how to get to places.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would kind of be, like, I don't know, was that the start of him planning, or was it, like, the middle or towards the end of him planning?
I mean, we won't know, but, like... For me personally, that sounds like that's the middle of it. Like, you've got the idea and you want to... Do you know what I mean? It's not... You didn't ask him, go, oh, actually, maybe I could do this then. It's like, I've got an idea, but I can't execute this properly until I work out a timetable or a timeline that I need for these people to be in this certain area at this certain time. So he's gone for that reason. That's how I perceive that to sound anyway. Right, that's the middle of the process. So then he's now got 6 days to finalise what he wants to do. Which is scarier, to be honest. Then that's a long period of time to dwell on this heinous act you're about to
not
commit.
Change your mind.
And not have any second thoughts, be like, whoa, what the fuck am I doing? If anything, it sort of solidified it each day. It was like, that got closer and closer. He was like, oh no, I'm actually going to commit this. I'm going to fully go through what I've I've got in my head right now. Shocking.
In 1994, Thomas inquired about joining a gun club, but his membership was refused when 2 members knew him and said that the club should have no association with him. The definite motive that drove Thomas to commit mass murder is unknown. It's theorised that it could have been the mountain of scrutiny he was rightfully getting from everyone for acting inappropriately around children.
That's where my brain was going to. Like, without even hearing, I mean, I've heard of this before, but not as in depth as we're probably about to go into. But from the knowledge I have before and what we've just gone over, then that sounds to me like the motive, the one that would make the most sense anyway. But with these people, you can't really assume, oh, that makes sense, you know, because obviously, look at what they're doing.
Sadly, I struggled to find personal details about the victims. I looked through 2 court inquiries, old newspapers, as well as other articles and could find hardly anything. And when I say old, I mean looking through Google newspapers for articles that came out at the time. I'm not saying that 1996 is old.
I mean, it is though.
I mean, it's not mega old. I mean, you're only 2 years younger than that.
Exactly.
Older. Younger.
Yeah, but I'm not like exactly young anymore.
Yeah, but we're still young.
Yeah, but like in terms of I'm closer to 30 than I am 15. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, John, I can't with like nostalgia anymore today. It's just breaking my heart. We're now going to discuss the shooting, and parts will be in graphic and deeply upsetting detail.
Oh God.
So on the 13th of March 1996 at 9:30 a.m, Thomas arrived at Dunblane Primary School. He cut the phone lines that supplied the nearby houses but did not connect to the school. Thomas was wearing a dark coloured jacket, black trousers, along with a woolly hat paired with ear defenders. Like how he had ear defenders on to sort of like protect himself from the sounds.
Yeah.
But then just goes and commits an absolute atrocity.
Yeah, full on murder, but I can't have my ears being affected by this.
Yeah.
Like the juxtaposition of like what you're about to do and also being like, but it's a bit loud. I need to make sure that I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's when you break that down a bit, that is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Dunblane's primary school day began at 9 a.m. Assemblies were regularly held in the assembly hall, which was located between the school's gym and dinner hall. When the assembly had finished, Gwen Mayer, aged 47, led her class of 28 children to the school gym for their PE lesson. 25 of the children were aged 5 and 3 were aged 6. Gwen ensured the children got to the gym where Eileen Harold, a PE teacher, and her assistant, Mary Blake, were waiting. Thomas gained entry to the school through the main entrance. Quote, "It was more likely that he would have been seen as there were many persons in the vicinity of the entrance at that time." Gwen was talking to Eileen when Gwen heard a noise, causing her to turn around. It's thought that it was the sound of Thomas firing 2 shots into the assembly hall as well as the girls' toilets just outside the gym. Thomas then entered the school's gym and immediately opened rapid fire. Eileen was shot instantly, suffering a gunshot wound to both her forearms, her right hand and her left breast. Eileen, along with a number of children, stumbled back into the store area that was connected to the gym. Gwen was shot multiple times and died instantly. Mary was also shot but managed to reach the store, ushering some children in ahead of her. Thomas then fired a total of 29 shots in rapid succession, killing 1 child and injuring others. 4 injured children managed to make their way into the store where Mary and Eileen tried to comfort and calm the terrified children. Quote, "The children cowered on the floor, lying helplessly in pools of blood, hearing the screams and moans of their classmates in the gym and waiting for the end or for help."
I think what, for me, not makes it sadder, but like an element that I just picked out from that sort of statement there is about how the teachers who were being shot are still like providing their duty of care and still like ushering, and it's not like they're cowering away and being sort of like every man for himself and running. They're still protecting these kids, doing what they can to make sure these kids have the best shot of survival, which I think is really fucking sad that they are. That, you know, some of them it didn't work, and that some of them did die.
Yeah.
Really horrible.
It's just horrendous.
Yeah.
Thomas then walked to the east side of the gym, firing 6 bullets. When he was halfway, he fired 8 shots towards the opposite side of the gym. When he was in the middle of the gym, he, quote, walked in a semicircle systematically, firing 16 shots at a group of children who had either been disabled from the firing or who had been thrown to the floor. He stood over them and fired at a point-blank range.
Oh, God. Like, this is just... I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of more words to describe how these things are, because, like, some of them you really... It takes a minute to digest. Like, I don't want to be like, visualize this, you know, because like, it's a disgusting thing to visualize, but in the way that we are describing it, it's sort of hard not to.
Yeah.
But like the terms like systematically, a semicircle, 16 shots, like it's all premeditated, it's all calculated, and it's just...
So he's essentially like walking back and forth and just just shooting at the floor. Like, it's... Oh my God.
It's doubling down on the damage he's already causing. Like he's inflicting more and more pain.
During the shooting, a child from another class was walking along the outside of the gym when they heard the massacre. The pupil peeped inside the gym, but Thomas fired a shot towards them. They were injured from flying glass and then ran away. Thomas then headed towards the south side of the gym and then fired 24 bullets in different directions. One of the shots was aimed at a window adjacent to a fire escape. It's thought that he was aiming for an adult that was walking across the playground. He then left the school gym, firing 4 more shots towards the playground. I couldn't definitively say if it was these 4 shots or if he fired 4 more shots, but either way, he shot Grace Tweedle, a member of staff, in the head. At the same time, Catherine Gordon and her pupils were in a classroom hut that had 2 doors, not including fire exits. Catherine heard the gunfire and immediately told her pupils to get down on the floor just before Thomas fired 9 shots into the classroom. I think as well, when and presume the same for you because you're older, when we were in school, we never had drills. Obviously, we had fire drills, but we never had like lockdown drills of like a shooter or an intruder or anything like that.
No. I mean, we would have been in school after this happened, obviously.
Yeah. But the gun laws changed after this.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know something that happened. I swear as well. You might have it later on, so I don't know. But I swear, schools used to not have, like, school gates until this. I swear, I think when I did Columbine for my drama piece in year 13, I swear that we've found out that school... This could be entirely wrong, so, like, don't take it as a fact. But I swear, schools used to not have school gates until this happened. So then they thought we need more security, so the then idea of having a school gate was then implemented.
I have got in here towards the end. I can't remember it word for word, but I do know that like in like one of the inquiries after the shooting, it was recommended that there's more security at school, so it could have been.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm fairly certain that's right.
But when I was in my last year of college, which was 2019 to 2020, we didn't have drills of where like you had to go under the table, but we were made aware of like what to do if there's a shooter or if there's like we have to go into lockdown or something. Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't know that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Thomas then made his way back into the gym. Using a revolver, he placed it into his mouth, pointing upwards, and pulled the trigger, killing himself instantly. Gwen Mayer and the 15 children lay dead in the gym, and 1 more child was close to death. Quote, they had sustained a total of 58 gunshot wounds. 26 of these wounds were of such nature that individually they would have proved fatal. The police were first called at 9:41 a.m. by head teacher Ronald Taylor. Bear in mind, Thomas had only arrived at the school at around 9:30. So I have got this like later in here where I say it again, but it blows my mind and makes me literally want to throw up how he arrived at around 9:30 and 11 minutes later the police, or like, it happened so quick. And obviously like gunshot wounds happen quick, especially when he's firing them in like rapid succession. Like how quick it happens and how many victims and deaths
you can accumulate within 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my God. No, it makes me sick.
Terrifying.
Ronald had been alerted by assistant head teacher Agnes Olson that that there was possibly a gunman in the school's gym. Agnes had been making her way across the playground when she heard gunfire and screams coming from the gym. While she was running along a corridor, she found cartridges lying on the floor. Ronald made a call to the police and then ran towards the gym. On his way, a student teacher told him that he'd seen the gunman shooting himself. Ronald estimated that it was around 3 minutes from when he first heard what he suspected of being gunshots to then being told this information from the student teacher. So in 3 minutes, he's learned that there's a shooter at the school shooting, to then learning that the school shooter's possibly killed himself.
God knows what goes through your brain at that moment.
Just like utter,
Like, yeah, what's the first
panic.
What does it
like,
jump to?
oh my God, Ronald then entered the gym and said, quote, "A scene of unimaginable carnage, one's worst nightmare." To his left, he saw a group of children that were injured and asked the teacher, I couldn't clarify what one, to take them out of the gym and attend to their needs. Ronald ran from the gym to the deputy head teacher, Fiona Edington, to phone for ambulances at 9:43 a.m. He then ran back to the gym, calling out for adults to come and help the injured children and to manage the situation. A school janitor, John Curry, noticed Thomas lying at the south end of the gym and thought he could see him moving and a gun beside him. Ronald told John to kick the gun away, and John did so, as well as removing the revolver from his hand. Another assistant head teacher, Stuart McCombie, and dinner ladies had arrived and were attending to the injured children. Also, I love how Ronald got told that I think I seen the shooter killing himself, and he still, so there was like uncertainty, and he still just walked into the gym.
Yeah.
Because he was
This is what I'm saying
right for the children.
Yeah, like these teachers really have like such an admirable code that like that duty of care is the forefront of their minds at this point. It's about get everyone that you can, get these kids to safety and keep the other ones at bay. You know, like they were fucking on it.
Like putting themselves in front of putting the children in front, like needs before them.
Yeah, selfless behaviour.
And I mean, like I'm not saying that all of the staff did, but I mean, regardless whether you have children or not, you can obviously empathize with this. But if they have children as well, I feel like it will just be a natural instinct to just immediately help the
like
children.
That paternal, sudden like adrenaline rush. Yeah.
Police officers from the Dunblane police office arrived at around 9:50 a.m. It is police office, by the way. When I'd seen that in the court documents, I was like, why is it an office? Anyhow, I can't comprehend how quick this massacre was. Thomas arrived at around 9:30 a.m. 20 minutes later, Thomas had killed 16 children, 1 teacher, and injured 15 others. The first ambulance arrived at the primary school at 9:57 a.m. Another medical team from the Dunblane Health Centre arrived at 10:04 a.m. This team consisted of doctors and nurses. At around 10:19 a.m., 2 senior police officers arrived. The A&E department at Stirling Royal Infirmary were made aware of a major incident at 9:48 a.m. and were told to prepare for an influx of casualties. By around 1:15 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., all of the injured children had been identified and their parents were notified. I cannot, will never comprehend like the agonizing, soul-destroying pain of having to wait to hear if your child was involved in something like this.
Genuinely would be like the longest wait of your life.
The police placed a cordon around the school buildings as well as some surrounding areas like the roads access to the school. By 10:30 a.m, a number of people were surrounding the school area, many concerned parents, relatives and guardians concerned for the welfare of their children. Quote, the emergency services had to make their way through some 200 to 300 people in proceeding to and from the school. Difficulties arose when the children had to be identified as their main teacher, Gwen Mayer, had died in the shooting. Other members of staff and teachers who had previously taught the children were helping identify the children. As the PE class hadn't started when Thomas began shooting, the class register wasn't filled out, making it harder to confirm what child was present. At one point, one child was identified as being at the hospital, but was also thought to be one of the children who had died. Quote, the police decided to be entirely certain as to the identity of the deceased children before informing their families, lest any parents be misinformed. Parents of the children who died in the attack were notified at around 1:45 p.m, and it wasn't completed until around 3:30 p.m. Each family was designated a family liaison team consisting of 2 police officers and a social worker. The children aged 5 that died in the shooting were Victoria Elizabeth Clydesdale, Emma Elizabeth Crozier, Melissa Helen Curry, Charlotte Louise Dunn, Kevin Allen Hazel, Ross William Irvine, David Charles Keir, Abigail Joanne McLennan, Emily Morton, Sophie Jane Lockwood North, John Petrie, Joanna Caroline Ross, Hannah Louise Scott, and Megan Turner. Breck McKinnon, aged 6, and their teacher, Gwen Mayer, aged 45. In court documents, it was stated that, quote, the process of reuniting parents with children in other classes took up some 2 to 3 hours.
I think what makes this really hard as well about, listening with them victims then, like these are kids, like the loss of life is, man, like what could they have become?
5 years old. That's nothing.
A whole life ahead, and like what they could, the whole possibilities of their life was just laid out there ready, and it's just snatched away instantly. Like God knows what they could have became.
Like what was their personality gonna evolve into? Like
yeah, exactly. Like this sort of thing that everyone has was just robbed from these people.
And like 5 years old and 6 years old, and then a teacher. Oh my God, it's horrifying. Police would later search 7 Kent Road where Thomas was living. They found 715 rounds of 9mm and 280 rounds of .357 ammunition. I don't know a lot about guns, but I feel like that is a very excessive amount to have. In my opinion, I think 1 gun for self-protection is all right. But then when you think about it, if everyone has 1 gun for self-protection, then everyone's got a gun. It's like knife crime here is astronomically out of control.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'll carry a knife for protection, but then everyone's carrying a knife.
If everyone's got that same mindset, then there is always a knife in someone's hand, yeah.
So yeah, I think that amount, I mean, thank God like the rules have changed now, but I think that amount in your house is weirdly excessive to me. Like I don't understand it. Again, it could be because I'm, in my opinion, blessed to be from a country where guns aren't like this. Like how they used to be, like having that excessive amount and have it be deemed as like, I mean, I don't know if that was deemed normal, but say it was deemed normal, because I don't think that's normal.
No.
Or necessary. A phone book was found open on a page which showed the phone number for Dunblane Primary School. Regarding the photos of young boys, police found none, quote, hanging on the walls of any of the rooms, but a total of 445 slides, 542 photographs, and 4,260 negatives were found. Quote, the majority of these showed boys in their tops bare. There were also 37 videotapes. There were also a collection of swimming trunks, most of which were black. Oh God, like it actually turns like he had boys' swimming trunks.
This, like I said earlier, like I've known about this one, but I didn't know it in this depth, and it's just shocking, to be honest. Really, like, I didn't expect this one to get. Well,
Like
before I even
pedophilic.
knew, yeah, I thought he was just a crazed shooter. I didn't realise that there was an extra level of.
Yeah, I didn't either. The Cullen Report, which was one of the 3 reports of public inquiries into UK disasters, the report recommended that the government should introduce tighter gun restrictions and controls in the UK. It was also thought that there should possibly be an outright ban of private ownership. Suggestions for school security, as well as better vetting procedures for those who work with children under 18. So it could have been Gates.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm like 98% certain that that's where, because I think a teacher who was helping me out told me about it and how like they became suddenly so aware about how relaxed security was. So then the big, like, metallic school gates that we now all know were brought in.
I'm going to quickly Google it.
I'm fairly certain it's true.
Also, right, just a little side note, whenever you Google anything now, like, obviously, like, if you Google a question or whatever, it comes up with, like, a question, like an answer straight away from Google. But now it always gives a fucking AI answer. I don't want that.
No.
And I don't think there's a setting you can turn it off, because I use Safari, not like the actual Google app.
Yeah.
So, like, when you Google something, it gives you AI answer. And I don't want AI. I don't like AI.
Yeah, no. Awful
I don't want to be controlled by robots. And also, it's bad for the environment.
It is. It's bad.
I
It's very
learned
bad.
this. Every time you search something, it goes into a massive fucking hot oven place that just emits all fucking fumes into the earth. So when when you're AI searching some fucking stupid photo, you're blowing up the world.
So get a grip.
And stop using AI. Stop using ChatGPT, whatever the fuck.
You want to make a
shit
cool
called.
photo? Find an artist and pay them.
3 months after the shooting, a national firearm amnesty was held. And so, yeah, when I Googled this, I Googled, what is that? And it gave me an AI answer. This allowed people to hand in any guns or ammunition, whether they were owned legally or illegally, and were allowed to be handed in without facing prosecution, which is great. There is also one this year. I did see that when I was Googling it. There is also one being held this year, but also, I don't know if by you or it's just the area that I live in, but by like a local police station, they've got like a knife bin where like you put like your, you just put like your machetes and your zombie knives in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where my local police station is. Oh, I do actually. I don't walk around there, so I can't comment if there is a knife bin or not. But I guess that's quite good that that's there. But then quite scary, because what if it gets broken into?
Yeah, there is always that thought. Around 22,000 firearms and 700,000 rounds of ammunition were surrendered. In response, Prime Minister John Major introduced the Firearms in brackets Amendment Act in 1997. So it was already an act, but it got amended. The act banned private possession of all handguns apart from the .22 rimfire cartridges in England, Scotland and Wales. Northern Ireland was not included. The act was further amended by Prime Minister Tony Blair. He changed the act so all cartridge handguns, regardless of the caliber, were banned from being were banned from being privately owned. Since the Dunblane shooting in 1996, there have been 7 mass shootings in the UK, resulting in a total of 24 people killed and 41 injured. Also, I have wrote this next bit, but I'm not being like, if you want to go get a gun, go and do this. I'm just saying, like, this is what you now have to do if you want to get a gun, but don't get a gun. To own a gun in the UK, you must be eligible, be assessed by the police, and cannot have been sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. You must apply for a certificate from your local police force, and the police will conduct further checks to ensure you're eligible. In the UK, illegally owning a gun can bring a maximum sentence of 14 years and an unlimited fine. But then I also seen that it can carry like a minimum of 4 years. But the max is 14. And that's the Dunblane massacre, the Dunblane school shooting.
Wow. A lot worse than I had initially had in my head. Again, I thought it was just, not to like be like, oh, I thought it was just this. But in terms of like, I thought it was just some fucking knob who went in and shot up a school. I didn't realise that there was an extra layer and like the context of his backstory to all of it. A horrible, horrible case. I mean, they're never fucking nice, but this was really horrible.
I know, and I have been in a place like today. Yes, I watched this over the course of 3 days. It's called, oh God, what is it called? It's by the Paranormal Files, who also has a podcast, Murder in America and the Conspiracy Files. And it is a 3-hour, 44-minute documentary about an island called North Fox Island and how it is linked to the Oakland County child killings. And I'm telling you, everyone needs to go and watch that documentary. It is, oh my God, it's just fucking horrendous. It was like a kind of like an Epstein Island, like paedophile island. And there were 4 killings in Oakland County for child killings. And like, I think people got linked to it. I'm not entirely sure on all the info. I'm pretty sure like multiple people's DNA were found on the bodies, which then linked everyone to this island that this man bought. And they would bring kids to the island saying like, oh yay, we're starting a cool scout movement, and then would like abuse them on camera. And then the people who would sponsor the island would then receive the images in the post.
No.
And then the one man who got like convicted for it died in a so-called murder, but there was literally no blood found, and he supposedly shot himself. And then the owner of the island fled to Amsterdam and then just lived the rest of his life there.
That's horrendous.
Like, the US didn't extradite him to like, so like it's majorly theorized that like the government was in on it. And it's really brought me to a place of like, and I don't like thinking like this, but like the world is just full of shit.
It can genuinely be it's a very horrible subject to get into, to be honest, because it can be very good, and then it can also be fucking like the darkest thing. It is. I think we should maybe do a bit of a light-hearted topic to end on. What's something that's made you smile this week?
What is something that's made me smile this week?
I've got one.
Got the bleak silence.
I've got one. Very little.
Do share.
But it's just when people fall over.
Oh.
Do you ever have that? I think
fall over.
I genuinely believe it's one of the funniest things like to ever happen to people.
It makes me want to crawl up and just
like there was a point. She's probably going to hate me for saying this, but I think it's really funny. So my girlfriend at one point, right, we were leaving her house, and she walked out like off the pavement, and just fucking crashed. Like she rolled her ankle and she it was just like a crumbled mess on the floor. And it's one of those things where I'm like, that was really funny. But this happened 8 months ago now. And if I think about it still, I still just find it hilarious. There was a point when I was at uni where some girl jumped over a chair and crashed into 3 more. Do you know what I mean?
My God!
It was just really, like, I don't know. I find people falling over because it's just so, like, humiliating. I think it's one of the funniest things that could ever happen to people. So that made me laugh because I thought about that again this week and I had a nice chuckle to myself.
And we went to a water park. And, like, the stairs going down into the pool were, like, tiled, so really slippy. And my foot slipped on the edge. I literally went up in the air and fell right back down. And there was a family literally on their sunbeds right, like, in front of me, like, looking forward. They just see me fall down the stairs. And I remember just sitting there for a second thinking,
this is
what
awful.
the fuck? Yeah.
You know
and I looked back and my friend was just like howling and I was like, oh my God, no.
I do. I think it's one of the funniest things. There's something about it. Like when it happens to yourself as well. There's a point where me and my mate were in like, I don't know, year 8 and it was a snow day. We were running down the road and the snow was covering some ice. We both just like slipped, like legs in the air, slammed into our ass. Yeah. And then we just begrudgingly walked home, and I think I got in. I think I started crying because I was like really embarrassed. I don't know. It's just one of those things that really, really made me laugh this week. I had a big old chuckle to myself.
Oh, I think we should do that at the end of every episode. What's made you smile this week?
You can try to, but what if you haven't smiled?
Well, I'm smiling right now.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So you're on about how the world can be quite disgusting. I've just whacked back with how it can be, but also the tiniest little things can bring a lot of joy.
When have I smiled? I mean, obviously I have smiled this week, but I'm trying to think of like a pinpoint moment that's made me think.
Well, this is sort of just a rare occasion.
Oh, my life's good.
Like, oh. Well, I mean, I didn't laugh and go, life's good. I just thought that was a pretty fun time. I remember that happening really well. She just sort of. It's so funny. It's honestly so funny.
Also, do you know what has made me smile actually? Our podcast, because we start, I can't remember the date when we uploaded our first episode, but it was like the first week of Jan. which is just like so satisfying for my mind,
Mm.
because then end of the year we should hopefully have 52 episodes, and on
Yeah.
Podbean, which is what we use to upload, you can have seasons. So this year will be season
Oh,
1.
Season 1 of Choosing
Next
the
year will be
Bear.
season 2.
Yeah.
How cool!
I like that a lot.
Yes, that made me smile because that's nice and satisfying.
That's very satisfying. I've got a little tease for next week. We're going to actually reveal why it's called Choosing the Bear, because we did do it in like episode 2, but I think it's been cut.
It was cut, yeah.
Yeah, so next week you can
I
actually
was
work
I
out
was thinking
why it's
about
called
having
Choosing the Bear.
like I was thinking of having like a 6-minute thing of like a not an episode but an episode.
About the name.
Yeah, because what if people stumble across and think, why have you called it that?
They got to tune in and find out. To episode 8, where we'll reveal all.
Fucking hell! You just went. Well, you got to tune in.
Yeah, no, you haven't got to do it. You haven't got to do a mini episode explaining why a show is called a show. That's insane. We'll just do it at the start. We'll just do it at the start.
I mean,
of next
Daniel,
week.
when I'm at work, I'm just left alone with my thoughts, so I do
Yeah,
go a
but
bit off
no.
the rails.
Well, talk to me about that shit, because that's insane. We're not doing a mini episode explaining why it's called Choosing the Bear. But episode 8, come back and you'll find out why it's called Choosing the Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is our longest one. We've been going for an hour.
I know. I've got to go and get my washing out the tumble dryer in a minute.
I need to put a wash on, and I'm going to have
Oh
my
my
din-dins.
god! Oh,
What you having for your dinner?
had mine already.
What you got? What you had?
It's just some air fryer shit, just chicken, chips, and peas.
I got some Domino's pizza.
Oh, lovely.
I got veg.
That's great,
And then
Lois. It's
mushrooms.
amazing. Sick. Sounds great. All right, shall we wrap this up then? Thank you again for listening. Bit of a heavy
Thank
episode.
you.
Hopefully the ending has been lighter. Again, with all the heavy episodes, we want to sort of lift the mood a bit at the end. So hopefully this has been uplifting.
Yeah, that was a great idea. I think we'll do that on the reg now.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
All right, so if this is your first episode, thank you for listening. If it
And go
isn't,
listen to the others. Thanks.
thank you again for listening. Oh, plug in the social media. We have an Instagram and a TikTok.
Yeah, I was meant to do that at the start.
No, do it at the end. It's better. I think it's just at Choosing the Bear. Please follow. It'd be nice, to be honest.
Yeah,
wouldn't
because we're still at a whopping 0 followers on our Instagram.
it's really good. It's really quite
But we've got
exciting.
60 on TikTok.
Boom,
And our TikTok videos do really good.
boom.
I think we had a lot of listeners from our Brianna Jai episode, because that video was 7,000 views and counting.
That's very good. Well, hopefully some of those views translated over, and hopefully they're still with us now. If you are, hello. If not, don't matter. Right, but this is a really long outro, so we're just gonna end it here. And next week as well, we'll have a proper outro. We'll work that out.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.